The insurance claim form sat on my desk for 3 weeks before I finally opened it. Rachel Martinez, 29, requesting coverage for experimental aircraft testing injuries sustained during classified operations. The amount requested made my coffee go cold. $2.7 million. The name seemed familiar until I remembered why I'd heard it before on every military aviation news broadcast for the past 6 months. She was the pilot who'd made history, the one who'd silenced every doubter in the most spectacular way possible. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. But what the news reports never mentioned was what came after. The glory. What happened when the cameras stopped rolling and the real cost of pushing boundaries became clear. This wasn't just another insurance claim. This was the untold story of what it really takes to break barriers in the most dangerous profession on Earth. Rachel Martinez had been carrying her grandfather's compass in her flight suit pocket for 12 years. The brass instrument had guided Miguel Martinez through 47 bombing runs over the Pacific during World War II, and later through 23 years of commercial aviation before arthritis forced him to retire. When Rachel was 17, sitting in his Las Vegas apartment, surrounded by faded photographs of aircraft he'd flown, Miguel had pressed the compass into her palm with hands that still trembled from decades of gripping control sticks. Mija. This compass never failed me, not once. But it's not the metal that keeps you safe. It's knowing that no matter how lost you get, how much noise surrounds you, there's always true north. In flying, in life, in everything that matters. 3 months later, Miguel was gone, claimed by the lung cancer that had been silently growing from years of breathing aviation fuel fumes. Rachel had worn his compass through every flight since, through 4 years at the Air Force Academy, through advanced pilot training, through her assignment to Nellis Air Force Base, where she now found herself standing in formation with 37 other pilots, all of them staring at her with barely concealed disdain. The morning briefing had just concluded, and Colonel Patricia Chun was reviewing the day's training assignments when she paused at Rachel's name on the roster. At 51, Chun was known throughout the Air Force as the Iron Dragon, a nickname earned through 15 years of combat flying and an additional decade of pushing experimental aircraft to their absolute limits. Her expression shifted to something that might have been amusement if it weren't so cold. Martinez stepped forward. Rachel moved with precise military bearing, her boots clicking against the polished concrete floor of the briefing room. It says here you've requested assignment to the X-47 program, the unmanned combat air vehicle project that's been classified at the highest levels for the past 4 years. Chun's voice carried across the silent room. Tell me, Lieutenant, what makes you think you're qualified to fly an aircraft that doesn't technically exist? The question hung in the air like smoke from a crashed engine. Rachel had known this moment would come eventually. For the past 18 months, she'd been submitting requests through proper channels, each one disappearing into the bureaucratic machinery of the Pentagon without response. The X-47 program represented the future of military aviation, a drone so advanced it could operate autonomously while maintaining the tactical flexibility of human judgment. Only 3 pilots in the entire Air Force had been selected for testing, and all of them were men with at least 15 years of combat experience. Colonel, I've logged over 2,300 hours in advanced fighter aircraft, including 400 hours in the F-35 Lightning II. My technical scores in autonomous systems integration rank in the top 1% of all Air Force pilots. I've completed graduate coursework in artificial intelligence and machine learning at MIT during my off-duty hours, and I've been developing flight algorithms that could integrate with unmanned systems. Rachel's voice remained steady, professional, but inside she could feel the familiar weight of her grandfather's compass against her ribs. The room erupted in barely suppressed laughter. Captain Derek Morrison, a veteran F-16 pilot with a reputation for breaking younger aviators' confidence, didn't even try to hide his amusement. Algorithms? What is this? A computer science fair. The X-47 isn't a video game, Martinez. It's a $30 million weapons system that requires instincts you can't learn from textbooks. Maybe she should stick to flying cargo runs, added Lieutenant Colonel James Park, whose own application to the X-47 program had been rejected 6 months earlier. Something more suitable for her skill set. Colonel Chun raised her hand for silence, but Rachel could see the calculation in her eyes. The Iron Dragon was weighing options, measuring risks, determining whether the quiet pilot standing before her represented an opportunity or a liability. Martinez, the X-47 program has a 93% washout rate. Pilots with 20 years of experience have been eliminated during the first week of training. The aircraft responds to neural link technology that most human brains can't process without experiencing severe disorientation. Some test pilots have suffered permanent neurological damage. I understand the risks, Colonel. Do you? Because the last pilot who attempted certification ended up in Walter Reed Medical Center with brain hemorrhaging that required 6 months of rehabilitation. He was a Navy test pilot with 3,000 hours of experience. What makes you think you can handle what broke him? Rachel felt the compass shift slightly in her pocket, the way it always did when she was standing at a crossroads. Her grandfather's voice echoed in her memory. True north isn't about the easiest path, Mija. It's about the right path, even when everyone else is walking in circles. Colonel, I'm not requesting this assignment because I think it will be easy. I'm requesting it because I believe I can contribute something valuable to the program. My research in AI integration has identified potential improvements in pilot aircraft interface systems that could reduce the cognitive load during neural synchronization. I've been working on this for 3 years. The silence that followed was different from before. Chun's expression had shifted from skepticism to something approaching curiosity. What kind of improvements? Predictive algorithms that anticipate pilot neural patterns, reducing the processing delay between human decision-making and aircraft response. Instead of the brain fighting the system learns to complement human intuition. I've run thousands of simulations using modified F-35 data, and the results suggest we could reduce disorientation by up to 60% while improving response times. For the first time since the briefing began, Colonel Chun wasn't looking at Rachel like she was an annoyance to be dismissed. You developed this independently? Yes, Colonel. During off-duty hours at MIT, I have documentation. Morrison leaned back in his chair, still smirking. So now she's a scientist and a pilot. What's next, Martinez? Are you going to redesign the entire aircraft? But Chun was no longer listening to Morrison's commentary. She was studying Rachel with the intensity of someone who'd spent decades identifying exceptional talent hidden beneath unremarkable appearances. The Iron Dragon had built her career on making decisions that others considered impossible, and something in the young pilot's presentation had triggered the same instincts that had kept her alive through 15 years of combat flying. Martinez, report to Building 7842 tomorrow at 0600 hours. You'll be meeting with Dr. Elizabeth Hawthorne, the chief scientist for the X-47 program. She'll review your research and determine whether it has merit. Chun's voice carried a warning that everyone in the room understood. This isn't a guarantee of acceptance. Dr. Hawthorne has rejected. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Applications from pilots with twice your experience. But if your work is as innovative as you claim, she want to see it. The room buzzed with whispered conversations as the other pilots processed what they'd just witnessed. Rachel had somehow managed to accomplish what dozens of more experienced aviators had failed to achieve. She'd gotten the attention of the X-47 program's gatekeepers. But as she returned to her position in formation, she could feel the hostility radiating from her colleagues like heat from a jet engine. After the briefing concluded, Morrison approached her with the predatory confidence of someone who'd spent years breaking down anyone who threatened his position in the squadron hierarchy. "Martinez, you realize you just painted a target on your back, right? Everyone in this room has more experience than you. Everyone in this room has more combat time than you. And now you're trying to convince us that you're smarter than us too?" "I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything, Captain. I'm trying to serve my country by contributing to an important program." "Contributing?" Morrison's laugh was harsh. "You want to contribute? Stop wasting everyone's time with your computer science projects and focus on becoming a competent pilot. The X-47 program isn't looking for academics. It's looking for warriors." As Morrison walked away, Rachel noticed that several other pilots had been listening to the exchange. Their expressions ranged from amused to hostile, but none showed support. She was alone in this, just as she'd been alone during her years at the academy, just as she'd been alone during every challenge that had brought her to this moment. That evening, in her quarters at Nellis, Rachel spread her research across her desk and began preparing for the most important presentation of her career. Her work represented 3 years of analysis, thousands of hours of independent study, and innovations that could revolutionize human-machine interface technology. But as she reviewed her calculations and refined her algorithms, she couldn't shake the feeling that tomorrow's meeting would determine far more than just her assignment to the X-47 program. Dr. Elizabeth Hawthorne had been responsible for more breakthrough innovations in military aviation than any scientist in the past 20 years. Her neural link technology had made the X-47 program possible, and her standards for pilot selection were legendary throughout the Air Force. Hawthorne had personally rejected applications from test pilots who'd broken sound barriers from combat, veterans who'd survived missions that existed only in classified reports, from aviators whose names appeared in military history textbooks. Rachel opened her laptop and began reviewing the technical specifications she'd memorized months ago. The X-47 represented a quantum leap in military technology, an aircraft that combined artificial intelligence with human intuition in ways that had never been attempted before. The neural link system allowed pilots to control the aircraft through thought alone, eliminating the physical delays inherent in traditional control systems. But the technology came with risks that had ended careers and damaged lives. The neurological injuries suffered by test pilots weren't just statistical anomalies. They were warning signs that the human brain wasn't naturally equipped to interface with advanced artificial intelligence. The disorientation, the headaches, the cognitive disruption that some pilots experienced weren't side effects. They were symptoms of a fundamental mismatch between human neural patterns and machine processing speeds. But Rachel believed she'd identified the solution. Her research had revealed that the problem wasn't with the technology itself, but with how it was being implemented. Instead of forcing the human brain to adapt to machine specifications, the system needed to learn from human neural patterns and adjust its responses accordingly. The artificial intelligence needed to become more human, not the other way around. She pulled out her grandfather's compass and set it on the desk beside her laptop. The brass surface reflected the glow from her screen, creating patterns of light that seemed to dance across the metal. Miguel Martinez had never flown an aircraft equipped with artificial intelligence, had never experienced the disorientation of neural link technology, had never faced the challenges that Rachel was preparing to confront. But his compass had guided him through situations where failure meant death, where split-second decisions determined whether he returned home or became another name on a memorial wall. "True north," Rachel whispered, repeating the phrase that had become her personal mantra during the most difficult moments of her career. Tomorrow she would either prove that her 3 years of research had merit, or she would join the long list of pilots who'd been eliminated from the most exclusive program in military aviation. The next morning arrived with the harsh clarity of desert sunlight streaming through her quarters windows. Rachel performed her usual pre-flight routine, even though she wouldn't be flying today. She checked her equipment, reviewed her notes, and ensured that every detail of her presentation was perfect. The compass went into her flight suit pocket, where it had remained for every important moment of her career. Building 7842 was located in the most secure section of Nellis Air Force Base, surrounded by multiple layers of security that required special clearance to access. Rachel had never been inside the facility before, but she'd seen it from a distance during training flights. The building's appearance was deliberately unremarkable, designed to deflect attention from the revolutionary work being conducted within. Its walls. At exactly 0600 hours, Rachel presented her credentials to the security personnel at the main entrance. The guards verified her identity through multiple systems before escorting her through a series of corridors that seemed to extend much deeper into the building than its external appearance suggested. The walls were lined with photographs of experimental aircraft, some of which Rachel recognized from aviation history, others that she'd never seen before. Dr. Elizabeth Hawthorne was waiting in a conference room that overlooked the main testing facility. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, Rachel could see the X-47 aircraft for the first time. The drone was larger than she'd expected, with a wingspan that approached 40 feet and a sleek design that seemed to blend stealth technology with advanced aerodynamics. But what captured her attention was the cockpit area, where she could see the neural link equipment that would allow a pilot to control the aircraft through thought alone. Lieutenant Martinez, I've reviewed your academic credentials and your flight record. Both are impressive, but neither explains why you believe you're qualified for this program. Dr. Hawthorne's voice carried the authority of someone who'd spent decades evaluating exceptional talent. Colonel Chun mentioned that you've developed research that could improve our neural interface systems. I'm interested in hearing your presentation. Rachel activated her laptop and began displaying the algorithms she'd developed over the past 3 years. Dr. Hawthorne, the current neural link system requires pilots to synchronize their brain patterns with predetermined machine specifications. This creates cognitive dissonance that manifests as disorientation, headaches, and in some cases, neurological damage. My research suggests that we can eliminate these problems by reversing the adaptation process. Explain, instead of forcing the human brain to conform to machine parameters. We can program the artificial intelligence to learn from human neural patterns and adjust its responses accordingly. The AI becomes a complement to human intuition rather than a replacement for it. Rachel displayed a series of simulations showing how her modified algorithms would reduce cognitive load while improving response times. Dr. Hawthorne studied the data with the intensity of someone who'd spent her career identifying breakthrough innovations. These simulations are impressive, Lieutenant, but simulation data doesn't account for the complexity of actual neural link integration. The human brain isn't a computer that processes information in predictable patterns. It's a biological system that responds to stress, fatigue, and emotional states in ways that can't be programmed. That's exactly why my approach could work. Dr. Hawthorne, current systems try to eliminate human variability because it's seen as a source of error. But human variability is actually a source of adaptability. My algorithms don't try to suppress human neural patterns, they learn from them and use them to improve system performance. The room fell silent as Dr. Hawthorne reviewed Rachel's research with the thoroughness of someone who'd seen thousands of proposals over the years. Most of them had been variations on existing technology, incremental improvements that offered minimal advantages. But Rachel's work represented something different, a fundamental reimagining of how humans and machines could work together. Lieutenant, your research addresses problems that our team has been struggling with for 2 years. The neurological injuries suffered by test pilots have been our primary concern, and your proposed solution could potentially eliminate those risks entirely. Dr. Hawthorne paused, choosing her words carefully. However, implementing your algorithms would require extensive testing and validation. We would need to verify that your approach actually works in practice, not just in simulation. Rachel felt her heart rate increase, but her voice remained steady. I understand, Dr. Hawthorne. I'm prepared to participate in whatever testing protocols you consider necessary. The testing I'm referring to wouldn't be conducted on a computer, Lieutenant. It would require you to undergo neural link integration yourself, using modified systems based on your research. You would be serving as your own test subject, which carries significant risks. Dr. Hawthorne's expression had become grave. The last pilot who attempted experimental neural link procedures suffered brain hemorrhaging that required 6 months of rehabilitation. He was a Navy test pilot with 15 years of experience. I'm aware of the risks, Dr. Hawthorne, but I believe my research represents a breakthrough that could save lives and advance military aviation. I'm willing to accept those risks. Dr. Hawthorne closed Rachel's laptop and stood up from the conference table. Lieutenant Martinez, I'm going to recommend your acceptance into the X-47 program, contingent on successful completion of preliminary testing. You'll be working directly with my team to implement your neural interface modifications, and you'll be the first pilot to test the enhanced system. She paused at the door. This is an opportunity that pilots spend their entire careers hoping to receive. It's also dangerous enough to end your career permanently if something goes wrong. Are you certain you want to proceed? Rachel touched the compass in her pocket, feeling the familiar weight of her grandfather's legacy. Dr. Hawthorne, I'm certain. This is what I've been preparing for my entire career. Then report to this facility tomorrow at 0800 hours. You'll be meeting with our neural interface team to begin integration testing. And Lieutenant? Dr. Hawthorne's expression softened slightly. What you're attempting has never been done before. The pressure will be intense, and the margin for error is essentially zero. But if you succeed, you'll change military aviation forever. As Rachel left Building 7842, she realized that her acceptance into the X-47 program was only the beginning of the most challenging phase of her career. The real test wouldn't be proving her technical knowledge or demonstrating her flight skills. It would be surviving the neural link integration process and becoming the first pilot to successfully interface with the most advanced aircraft ever built. The compass in her pocket seemed to pulse with warmth as she walked across the base toward her quarters. Miguel Martinez had never faced challenges like the ones his granddaughter was about to encounter, but his guidance had brought her to this moment. Tomorrow, she would begin the process of becoming something that had never existed before, a pilot capable of controlling an aircraft through thought alone. But first, she had to survive the integration process that had already ended careers and changed lives. The X-47 program wasn't just about flying an advanced aircraft. It was about becoming part of a machine that represented the future of military aviation. And Rachel Martinez was about to discover whether her 3 years of research had prepared her for the reality of merging human consciousness with artificial intelligence. The setting sun painted the Nevada desert in shades of orange and gold, as Rachel prepared for the most important challenge of her career. Tomorrow she would either prove that her innovations could revolutionize military aviation, or she would become another cautionary tale about the dangers of pushing technology beyond human limitations. In her quarters that night, Rachel reviewed her research one final time before closing her laptop and preparing for sleep. Her grandfather's compass sat on the knitstand, its brass surface reflecting the soft glow from her desk lamp. She'd carried Miguel's guidance through every challenge of her career, and tomorrow she would need it more than ever. The X-47 program, represented everything she'd worked toward, everything she'd sacrificed to achieve. But it also represented risks that could end her career, her health, and possibly her life. As she drifted off to sleep, Rachel's last conscious thought was of her grandfather's words, "True north isn't about the easiest path, Mija. It's about the right path, even when everyone else is walking in circles." Tomorrow she would discover whether her path had been leading toward triumph or disaster. The Neural Interface Laboratory existed in a state of perpetual twilight, its walls lined with monitoring equipment that tracked every aspect of human brain activity during aircraft integration testing. Dr. Sandra Liu had been observing pilot candidates for 8 years, watching as some of the military's most experienced aviators struggled to maintain consciousness while their minds attempted to synchronize with artificial intelligence systems. The failure rate was devastating, but the few pilots who succeeded became capable of aerial maneuvers that defied conventional understanding of human limitations. Rachel Martinez arrived at the laboratory 3 days after her meeting with Dr. Hawthorne, carrying a modified flight helmet that contained her revolutionary neural interface algorithms. The past 72 hours had been spent in intensive preparation, undergoing medical evaluations, psychological assessments, and technical briefings that revealed the true complexity of the X-47 program. What she'd learned during those sessions had fundamentally changed her understanding of what she was attempting to achieve. The X-47 wasn't simply an unmanned aircraft, it was a weapons system equipped with artificial intelligence that could process tactical information faster than any human pilot. The neural link technology allowed human consciousness to interface directly with the aircraft's computer systems, creating a hybrid intelligence that combined human intuition with machine precision. But the integration process required pilots to temporarily surrender conscious control of their thoughts, allowing the aircraft's AI to access their decision-making processes directly. Lieutenant Martinez, before we begin today's session, I need to ensure you understand the risks involved in experimental neural interface testing. Dr. Liu's voice carried the weight of someone who'd witnessed the consequences of unsuccessful integration attempts. The modified algorithms you've developed haven't been tested on human subjects. We'll be monitoring your brain activity, heart rate, blood pressure, and neurological responses throughout the process. But we can't predict how your consciousness will react to AI integration. Rachel adjusted the neural interface helmet, feeling the weight of sensors that would monitor every electrical impulse generated by her brain during the next 6 hours. Dr. Liu, I've run thousands of simulations based on existing pilot data. My algorithms are designed to reduce cognitive stress by allowing the AI to adapt to human neural patterns rather than forcing human brains to conform to machine specifications. The theoretical framework is sound. Theoretical framework and practical application are very different things, Lieutenant. The last pilot who attempted experimental integration experienced seizures that required emergency medical intervention. He spent 4 months relearning basic cognitive functions. Dr. Liu activated the monitoring systems, and the laboratory filled with the quiet hum of advanced medical equipment. Your research suggests that AI adaptation could eliminate these problems, but we won't know for certain until we test your theories under actual neural link conditions. The testing chamber resembled a sophisticated flight simulator, but instead of traditional controls, it contained only a single chair surrounded by holographic displays that would respond to thought patterns transmitted through the neural interface. Rachel had studied recordings of previous integration attempts, watching as experienced pilots struggled to maintain coherent thought processes while their minds merged with artificial intelligence systems. Most lasted less than 30 minutes before requesting termination due to severe disorientation. The integration process begins gradually, Dr. Liu explained as Rachel settled into the testing chair. We'll start with basic connectivity, allowing the AI to monitor your thought patterns without attempting active interface. If your brain responds normally, we'll progress to partial integration, where the AI will begin responding to your mental commands. Full integration occurs when the AI gains access to your decision-making processes, creating the hybrid consciousness necessary for X-47 operations. Rachel activated her grandfather's compass one final time before placing it in a secure compartment beside the testing chair. The familiar way had provided comfort during every challenge of her career, but neural interface testing required complete mental focus that couldn't be compromised by external stimuli. As she closed her eyes and prepared for the most dangerous experience of her life, Miguel Martinez's words echoed in her memory. True north isn't about avoiding the storm, Mija. It's about finding your way through it. The initial connectivity phase felt like falling asleep while remaining completely conscious. Rachel's awareness gradually expanded beyond the boundaries of her physical body, encompassing sensors and systems that existed only in digital space. The sensation wasn't painful, but it was profoundly disorienting, as if her consciousness had suddenly become responsible for processing information from sources that her brain had never been designed to interpret. Neural connectivity established, Dr. Liu announced, her voice seeming to reach Rachel from an impossible distance. Brain activity is within normal parameters. Heart rate elevated but stable. Beginning partial integration sequence. The IS presence manifested as a subtle pressure at the edges of Rachel's consciousness, not intrusive but unmistakably foreign. Traditional neural interface systems would have immediately begun imposing machine logic on human thought processes, creating the cognitive dissonance that caused disorientation and neurological damage. But Rachel's modified algorithms allowed the AI to observe her mental patterns without attempting to control them, learning to complement her decision-making rather than replace it. This is unexpected. Dr. Liu's voice carried a note of amazement that penetrated Rachel's altered state of consciousness. Lieutenant, your brain activity is actually stabilizing during AI integration. We've never observed this response before. The artificial intelligence appears to be synchronizing with your neural patterns rather than fighting them. Rachel could feel the truth of Dr. Liu's observations. Instead of the cognitive struggle that had characterized previous integration attempts, her mind and the AI were developing a collaborative relationship. Her human intuition identified tactical possibilities, while the artificial intelligence calculated optimal responses with superhuman speed. The result wasn't the replacement of human judgment with machine logic. It was the enhancement of human capabilities through technological partnership. Initiating full integration sequence, Dr. Liu announced. Lieutenant, you should begin experiencing direct access to aircraft systems. The AI will be responding to your thoughts in real time, but remember that this is still a simulation. The X-47 itself isn't connected to the system. The holographic displays surrounding Rachel's chair suddenly came alive with information that flowed directly into her consciousness without requiring visual processing. She could perceive aircraft altitude, airspeed, fuel consumption, and weapons status as naturally as she could sense her own heartbeat. But more remarkably, she could feel the IS analytical processes working alongside her own thoughts, providing computational support for decisions that would have required minutes of calculation to resolve manually. Full integration achieved. Dr. Liu's voice now seemed to originate from within Rachel's own consciousness, transmitted through the neural link rather than heard through her ears. Lieutenant, we're going to begin tactical scenario testing. The AI will present you with combat situations that require split-second decision-making. Your responses will help us determine whether the enhanced integration system is ready for actual flight testing. The first scenario materialized around Rachel's consciousness like a three-dimensional movie that she could control through thought. Alone, enemy aircraft appeared on sensors located hundreds of miles away, their positions and vector information flowing directly into her awareness without requiring traditional cockpit displays. Her mind automatically began calculating intercept courses while the AI simultaneously evaluated threat levels and weapons effectiveness. The collaboration was seamless, with human creativity and machine precision working together to develop tactical solutions that neither could have achieved independently. Scenario 1 complete in 47 seconds, Dr. Liu announced. Response time is 60% faster than traditional pilot performance. Decision accuracy is 98%. Beginning Scenario 2. The testing continued for 4 hours, with Rachel's consciousness navigating increasingly complex combat situations, while the AI learned to anticipate and support her decision-making processes. Enemy fighters, surface-to-air missiles, electronic warfare attacks, and mechanical failures all appeared in the simulation, each one requiring immediate responses that combined human judgment with artificial intelligence analysis. By the end of the session, Rachel's mind and the AI had developed such sophisticated coordination that they functioned as a single enhanced intelligence. Integration testing complete, Dr. Liu announced as the holographic displays gradually faded from Rachel's consciousness. Lieutenant, you can open your eyes now. The neural link has been safely disconnected. Rachel's return to normal consciousness felt like awakening from the most vivid dream of her life. The testing chair suddenly seemed inadequate after hours of existing as pure thought enhanced by artificial intelligence. Her physical body felt limited, slow, incapable of processing information at the speeds she'd just experienced. But more importantly, she knew with absolute certainty that her algorithms had worked exactly as intended. Dr. Liu, how did the session compare to previous integration attempts? Lieutenant, what you accomplished today has never been achieved before. Every other pilot who's undergone full integration has experienced significant cognitive stress, usually requiring session termination within 2 hours. You maintained stable brain activity for 4 hours while achieving performance metrics that exceed our most optimistic projections. Dr. Liu reviewed the data streaming across her monitoring systems. Your modified algorithms appear to have solved the fundamental compatibility problems that have limited neural interface technology since its development. Dr. Elizabeth Hawthorne entered the laboratory as Rachel was removing the neural interface helmet, carrying a tablet displaying real-time analysis of the testing session. Her expression revealed the excitement of a scientist who just witnessed a breakthrough that would change her field forever. Lieutenant Martinez, I've been monitoring your integration session from my office. The results are extraordinary. Not only did you avoid the neurological stress that's affected every previous test pilot, but you achieved tactical performance levels that suggest enhanced human-AI collaboration is possible. Dr. Hawthorne sat beside Rachel's testing chair. Based on today's results, I'm recommending immediate advancement to actual X-47 flight testing. The words seemed to echo in the laboratory's controlled environment. Rachel had expected weeks of additional simulation work before being approved for actual aircraft operations. The acceleration of her timeline meant that she would become the first pilot to test her revolutionary algorithms in the aircraft they'd been designed to control. Dr. Hawthorne, when would flight testing begin? Tomorrow, Lieutenant. The X-47 has been prepared for initial neural interface operations, and your successful integration today proves that the enhanced system is ready for real-world testing. Dr. Hawthorne paused, choosing her words carefully. However, I need to emphasize that flight testing carries risks that simulation cannot replicate. The X-47 is a $30 million weapons system, capable of speeds and maneuvers that could destroy the aircraft if incorrectly executed. The neural interface will be connecting your consciousness directly to flight controls, navigation systems, and weapons platforms. Rachel retrieved her grandfather's compass from its secure compartment, feeling the familiar weight that had guided her through every important decision of her career. Tomorrow she would either prove that human consciousness could successfully merge with artificial intelligence to create enhanced military capabilities, or she would become another cautionary tale about the dangers of pushing technology beyond safe limitations. Dr. Hawthorne, I understand the risks, but today's testing proved that my algorithms can create stable human-AI integration. I'm ready to proceed with flight operations. That evening, news of Rachel's successful neural interface testing spread through the classified channels of the Air Force's most exclusive programs. Pilots who'd been rejected from the X-47 program learned that a relatively inexperienced lieutenant had achieved integration success that had eluded veterans with decades of flight time. The reaction was predictable and immediate. Captain Derek Morrison cornered Rachel in the base commissary, his expression containing the barely controlled anger of someone whose professional superiority had been challenged by an unexpected competitor. Martinez, I heard you managed to complete some computer simulation today. Congratulations, but simulation work and actual flying are completely different things. Tomorrow, when you're sitting in a real cockpit with real consequences, we'll see how your academic theories hold up. Captain, the neural interface testing wasn't a simulation. It was actual integration with AI systems that will control the X-47. The algorithms I developed worked exactly as intended. Algorithms. Morrison's laugh contained no humor. You keep talking about algorithms like they're magic formulas that can replace experience. The X-47 isn't a computer program, Martinez. It's a weapon system that requires pilot instincts you can't learn from textbooks. When you're pulling 8 Gs while enemy missiles are trying to knock you out of the sky, your algorithms aren't going to save you. But Morrison's criticism no longer carried the weight it once had. Rachel had spent 4 hours experiencing enhanced consciousness that allowed her to process tactical information at superhuman speeds while maintaining human intuition and creativity. She'd collaborated with artificial intelligence to solve combat problems that would have overwhelmed traditional pilot training. The gap between her capabilities and Morrison's experience had narrowed dramatically in a single afternoon. Captain, tomorrow's flight test will demonstrate whether enhanced human AI integration can improve military aviation. If my research is correct, the X-47 will represent a breakthrough in tactical capabilities that could save pilots' lives and complete missions that are currently impossible. Morrison leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper that carried unmistakable menace. Martinez, if you crash that aircraft tomorrow, you'll end the X-47 program permanently. 3 years of development work, millions of dollars in research funding, and the careers of everyone involved will be destroyed because some lieutenant thought her computer science degree made her smarter than actual pilots. The pressure you're going to feel tomorrow will break you like it's broken every other pilot who's attempted this program. As Morrison walked away, Rachel realized that tomorrow's flight would determine far more than just the viability of her neural interface. Algorithms. It would establish whether a new generation of pilots could successfully integrate with artificial intelligence to create military capabilities that had previously existed only in science fiction. The weight of expectation, the potential for catastrophic failure, and the opportunity to revolutionize aviation all converged on a single test flight that would define her career and potentially change military history. In her quarters that night, Rachel reviewed the technical specifications of the X-47 one final time. The aircraft represented the culmination of decades of research in stealth technology, artificial intelligence, and advanced materials engineering. Its capabilities exceeded those of any manned fighter, but its full potential could only be realized through successful human AI integration that allowed pilot consciousness to merge with machine processing power. The neural interface system that would connect her mind to the aircraft had been modified based on her algorithms, creating the first implementation of adaptive AI technology in military aviation. Instead of forcing human brains to conform to machine specifications, the system would learn from her thought patterns and adjust its responses to complement her decision-making processes. The success or failure of this approach would determine whether future military aircraft could achieve capabilities that surpassed current limitations. Rachel placed her grandfather's compass on the nightstand beside her bed, its brass surface reflecting the soft glow from her desk lamp. Miguel Martinez had guided her through every challenge of her career, and tomorrow she would need his wisdom more than ever. The X-47 flight test would either validate 3 years of independent research and prove that enhanced human-AI collaboration was possible, or it would end her career in catastrophic failure that destroyed one of the military's most important programs. As she prepared for sleep, Rachel's mind remained active with anticipation of the following day's events. Tomorrow she would become the first pilot to fly an aircraft controlled entirely through neural interface, merging her consciousness with artificial intelligence to create hybrid capabilities that had never existed before. The risks were unprecedented, but so was the potential for breakthrough achievement that could change military aviation forever. The alarm clock's harsh sound penetrated Rachel's consciousness at 0500 hours, interrupting dreams filled with holographic displays and enhanced awareness that seemed more real than her physical surroundings. She'd slept fitfully, her mind processing the implications of the day's upcoming flight test while her body struggled to find rest. Today would either prove that her 3 years of research had produced revolutionary advances in human-AI integration, or it would demonstrate that some technological boundaries couldn't be safely crossed. The pre-flight briefing took place in the same conference room where Dr. Hawthorne had first reviewed Rachel's algorithms, but now the space was filled with Air Force personnel whose careers depended on the X-47 program's success. Flight surgeons, test engineers, safety observers, and program administrators all gathered to witness the first attempt at enhanced neural interface flight operations. Colonel Patricia Chun, the Iron Dragon herself, had traveled from Washington, D.C. to observe the test personally. Her presence indicated the importance that Air Force leadership placed on the day's events, but it also increased the pressure that Rachel faced as she prepared for the most challenging flight of her career. Lieutenant Martinez, today's flight test will consist of 3 phases, Dr. Hawthorne announced as she activated the briefing room's main display. Phase 1 involves basic aircraft operations using neural interface only. You'll perform takeoff, navigation, and landing procedures to verify that the enhanced integration system can handle routine flight operations. Phase 2 includes tactical maneuvers designed to test the AI's ability to support combat decision-making under stress. Phase 3, if the first 2 phases are successful, will involve simulated combat scenarios using the aircraft's full weapons capabilities. The weight of responsibility settled on Rachel's shoulders like a lead blanket. She would be testing not only her own research, but also the viability of the entire X-47 program. Failure would end years of development work and potentially set back military aviation research by decades. Success would prove that human consciousness could successfully merge with artificial intelligence to create capabilities that neither could achieve independently. Dr. Hawthorne, what are the abort criteria for today's flight? Any indication of pilot distress, aircraft malfunction, or neural interface instability will result in immediate flight termination. We have chase aircraft standing by with experienced test pilots who can provide assistance if necessary. Medical personnel are positioned at the airfield with equipment specifically designed to treat neural interface injuries. Dr. Hawthorne's expression revealed the gravity of the risks involved. Lieutenant, the X-47 has never been flown using full neural interface. Everything we think we know about enhanced human-AI integration is based on simulation data. Today's flight will be the first real-world test of theories that could revolutionize military aviation or prove that some technological boundaries shouldn't be crossed. An hour later, Rachel stood beside the X-47 aircraft as ground crews completed final preparations for the most important flight test in the program's history. The drone was larger than she'd expected, with a sleek design that incorporated stealth technology developed over decades of classified research. But what captured her attention was the neural interface helmet that would connect her consciousness directly to the aircraft's computer systems. The helmet contained her modified algorithms, integrated into the most advanced neural link technology ever developed for military applications. Unlike traditional flight helmets that protected pilots from physical forces, this device would create a direct connection between her brain and the aircraft's artificial intelligence, allowing her thoughts to control flight operations without the delays inherent in manual control systems. Lieutenant, the neural interface system has been calibrated based on yesterday's testing session, announced Chief Master Sergeant Williams, the senior technician responsible for the X-47's electronic systems. The AI has been programmed with your specific neural patterns, and the adaptive algorithms you developed are active. Once the connection is established, you'll have direct access to all aircraft systems through thought alone. Rachel performed her pre-flight inspection with the methodical precision that her grandfather had taught her during weekend visits to civilian airfields. Every component, every system, every detail that could affect flight safety received careful attention. But unlike traditional aircraft inspections, this examination included neural interface equipment that had never been tested under actual flight conditions. "The aircraft is ready for operation, Lieutenant," Sergeant Williams announced. "All systems are functioning within normal parameters. Neural interface equipment shows green across all indicators. You're cleared for boarding whenever you're ready." Rachel climbed into the X-47's cockpit, settling into a pilot's seat that resembled something from a science fiction movie more than traditional military aircraft. Instead of conventional flight controls, the cockpit contained only the neural interface equipment that would allow her consciousness to merge with the aircraft's artificial intelligence. Her hands would never touch a control stick during today's flight. Her thoughts alone would guide the aircraft through maneuvers that pushed the boundaries of what was possible in military aviation. As ground crews secured the cockpit and activated final systems checks, Rachel placed her grandfather's compass in a small compartment designed for personal items. The familiar weight had accompanied her through every important moment of her career, and today she would need Miguel Martinez's guidance more than ever. The X-47 represented technology that her grandfather could never have imagined, but the principles he'd taught her about flying remained constant. Trust your instruments, maintain situational awareness, and always have a plan for when things go wrong. "Neural interface activation in 30 seconds, Dr. Liu announced through the cockpit communication system. "Lieutenant, remember that the AI will be learning from your thought patterns throughout the flight. If you experience any disorientation or unusual sensations, immediately communicate with ground control. We can terminate the neural link instantly if necessary." Rachel closed her eyes and prepared for the transformation that would merge her consciousness with artificial intelligence. Tomorrow she would either be celebrated as the pilot who'd proven that enhanced human-AI integration was possible, or remembered as the aviator whose failure had ended one of the military's most important research programs. But at this moment, sitting in the cockpit of the most advanced aircraft ever built, she felt the same calm confidence that had guided her through every challenge of her career. "Neural interface activation initiated," Dr. Liu announced. "Connection established in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The transformation was immediate and overwhelming. Rachel's consciousness suddenly expanded beyond the boundaries of her physical body, encompassing sensors and systems that provided information about air pressure, wind speed, fuel consumption, and engine performance. She could perceive the aircraft's condition as naturally as she could sense her own heartbeat, but more remarkably, she could feel the AI's analytical processes working alongside her own thoughts to optimize every aspect of flight operations. Neural connection stable, ground control reported. All brain activity readings are within normal parameters. Lieutenant, you are cleared for engine start and taxi operations. Rachel thought the command to start engines, and the X-47's turbofan systems responded instantly. The neural interface eliminated the delay between decision and action that characterized traditional flight controls, creating a seamless connection between pilot intention and aircraft response. She could feel the engine's power as if it were her own strength, monitor fuel flow as if it were her own circulation, and sense aerodynamic forces as if they were acting on her own body. "Engine start complete," she reported to ground control, though the words seemed unnecessary when the PSVO AI was already transmitting detailed system status directly to monitoring stations. All systems showing green. Requesting clearance to taxi. X-47, you are cleared to taxi to runway 07. Winds are calm, visibility unlimited. Chase aircraft are airborne and standing by for escort duties. The taxi to the runway felt like learning to walk with superhuman capabilities. Rachel's thoughts guided the aircraft with precision that exceeded anything possible through manual controls, while the AI continuously optimized performance based on real-time analysis of thousands of variables. The collaboration between human intuition and machine processing created an entirely new form of flight operations that promised to revolutionize military aviation. X-47 holding short of runway 07, Rachel reported as the aircraft approached the takeoff position. All systems ready for departure. X-47, you are cleared for takeoff. Execute standard departure profile and proceed to designated test area. Good luck, Lieutenant. Rachel thought the command for takeoff power, and the X-47 accelerated down the runway with smooth authority that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The neural interface allowed her to monitor every aspect of the aircraft's performance, while simultaneously coordinating with the AI to optimize climb rate, airspeed, and power settings. The result was a takeoff that achieved performance parameters previously thought impossible for an aircraft of the X-47's size and weight. X-47 airborne, she reported as the aircraft climbed toward the test altitude. All systems operating normally. Neural interface functioning as designed. But even as Rachel spoke those words, she realized that she was experiencing something that had never existed before in military aviation. The merger of human consciousness with artificial intelligence had created capabilities that transcended the limitations of either biological or digital processing alone. She wasn't simply flying an aircraft, she was becoming part of a hybrid intelligence that could analyze tactical situations, execute complex maneuvers, and make split-second decisions with superhuman speed and accuracy. The real test was just beginning. The X-47 climbed through 15,000 feet with Rachel's consciousness fully integrated into its digital nervous system. Every sensor, every control surface, every computational process existed as extensions of her awareness, creating a form of flight that transcended traditional boundaries between pilot and aircraft. The AI's analytical capabilities enhanced her decision-making, while her human intuition guided tactical choices that no computer could replicate. Together, they formed a hybrid intelligence capable of aerial operations that had never been attempted before in military history. 10-47. Proceed to test Area Alpha and begin Phase 1 maneuvers. Ground control transmitted. Demonstrate basic flight operations using neural interface only. No manual controls are to be used during this evaluation. Rachel acknowledged the instruction through thought alone, the neural link eliminating the need for verbal communication, while the AI transmitted confirmation directly to monitoring stations. The aircraft banked toward the designated test area with fluid precision that seemed to defy aerodynamic principles, executing turns that required no conscious effort from Rachel while maintaining perfect coordination between her intentions and the aircraft's responses. The first test maneuver involved a series of ascending spirals designed to evaluate the neural interface's ability to maintain stable flight while processing complex spatial relationships. Traditional pilots required years of training to execute such maneuvers smoothly, but Rachel's enhanced consciousness allowed her to perceive three-dimensional space with mathematical precision while the AI calculated optimal flight paths in real time. Phase 1 maneuvers commencing, she reported as the X-47 entered the first spiral. The aircraft climbed through the pattern with mechanical perfection, each turn precisely calibrated to maintain constant airspeed and rate of climb. But more remarkably, Rachel could feel the AI learning from her technique, adapting its responses to complement her natural flying style rather than imposing predetermined parameters. X-47, your flight profile is exceeding performance specifications. Ground control announced with barely concealed amazement. Rate of climb is 15% above calculated maximum. Turn radius is 30% tighter than design limitations. How are these parameters possible? The answer lay in the revolutionary collaboration between human creativity and artificial intelligence that Rachel's algorithms had made possible. Where traditional aircraft were limited by human reaction times and computational delays, the neural interface allowed instantaneous coordination between pilot decisions and flight control responses. The AI didn't simply execute Rachel's commands, it anticipated her intentions and optimized aircraft performance to achieve results that neither human nor machine could accomplish independently. Ground control, the enhanced neural interface eliminates processing delays between pilot input and aircraft response. The AI is learning from my flight techniques and applying predictive algorithms to optimize performance in real time. Rachel guided the X-47 through a climbing barrel roll that demonstrated the system's ability to maintain precise control during complex aerobatic maneuvers. The aircraft is responding to intentions rather than commands, creating flight capabilities that exceed original design specifications. Dr. Elizabeth Hawthorne's voice joined the communication channel from the ground control station. Lieutenant Martinez, what you're achieving contradicts everything we thought we knew about aircraft. Performance limitations. The X-47 wasn't designed to execute the maneuvers you're performing. How is the neural interface enabling these capabilities? The question touched on the fundamental breakthrough that Rachel's research had achieved. Traditional flight controls required pilots to translate mental decisions into physical actions that were then interpreted by aircraft systems. The neural interface eliminated those intermediate steps, creating direct communication between human consciousness and digital flight controls. But more importantly, the AI's adaptive capabilities allowed it to enhance human decision-making by providing computational support that exceeded biological limitations. Dr. Hawthorne, the AI isn't just following my commands, it's collaborating with my decision-making process. When I think about executing a maneuver, the AI calculates optimal parameters and adjusts aircraft systems before I've consciously completed the thought. We're functioning as a single enhanced intelligence rather than separate human and machine components. The implications of Rachel's explanation resonated through the ground control station like shock waves from a sonic boom. Military aviation had been constrained by the physical limitations of human pilots for over a century, but the X-47's neural interface promised to transcend those boundaries by merging biological intuition with digital precision. The aircraft wasn't simply being flown, it was being inhabited by a hybrid consciousness that could process information and execute maneuvers at superhuman speeds. X-47, proceed to Phase 2 testing, Dr. Hawthorne instructed. Execute tactical combat maneuvers designed to evaluate AI-enhanced decision-making under stress conditions. Multiple threat scenarios will be presented simultaneously to test system integration limits. The tactical evaluation began with simulated surface-to-air missile attacks that required immediate evasive action while maintaining mission objectives. Rachel's enhanced consciousness processed threat information as it appeared on sensors, analyzing trajectory data and calculating optimal escape vectors while the AI simultaneously evaluated countermeasure effectiveness and mission completion. Probabilities. The collaboration produced tactical decisions that were implemented faster than traditional pilot reaction times while maintaining strategic awareness that encompassed multiple simultaneous threats. Enemy fighters appeared on sensors at maximum detection range, their positions and vector information flowing directly into Rachel's consciousness without requiring visual displays or manual calculations. The AI provided threat analysis and weapons recommendations while she evaluated tactical options that balanced mission requirements with survival priorities. Together, they developed engagement strategies that maximized mission success probability while minimizing exposure to enemy fire. Multiple bogeys detected, bearing 270 at 80 miles. Rachel reported as her enhanced awareness processed the tactical situation. AI analysis indicates probable intercept attempt, recommending evasive maneuvers while maintaining mission profile. The X-47 executed a series of defensive turns that would have challenged the most experienced combat pilots, maintaining precise flight paths while deploying electronic countermeasures and chaff dispensers to confuse incoming missiles. But unlike traditional aerial combat, Rachel's neural interface allowed her to coordinate defensive measures with offensive capabilities, creating tactical options that had never been available to human pilots operating conventional aircraft. X-47, threat evaluation complete, ground control announced. Performance during tactical scenarios exceeds all established parameters. Weapon system integration appears flawless. You are cleared for Phase 3 testing. Phase 3 represented the ultimate test of enhanced human-AI collaboration, simulated weapons employment against multiple targets while under attack from enemy forces. The scenario required split-second tactical decisions that balanced offensive priorities with defensive necessities, demanding the kind of multitasking capabilities that had previously overwhelmed even the most experienced combat pilots. Rachel's consciousness expanded to encompass the X-47's complete weapon suite as target information appeared on sensors throughout the test area. Enemy installations, mobile missile launchers, and hostile aircraft all required immediate attention while incoming threats demanded continuous defensive responses. The AI provided target analysis and weapons effectiveness calculations while she evaluated strategic priorities that determined engagement sequences. Multiple targets acquired, she reported as the X-47's targeting systems locked onto enemy positions, engaging primary threats while maintaining defensive posture against incoming missiles. The weapons engagement that followed demonstrated capabilities that redefined the possibilities of single-pilot combat operations. Rachel's enhanced consciousness coordinated missile launches against ground targets, while simultaneously managing air-to-air engagements and defensive countermeasures. The IS predictive algorithms anticipated target movements and calculated intercept probabilities while she provided tactical judgment that determined priority sequences and engagement timing. Direct hits on all primary targets, ground control. Confirmed as simulated weapons impacts registered throughout the test area. Secondary targets eliminated. Defensive measures successful against all incoming threats. Phase 3 testing complete with unprecedented results. The return flight to Nellis Air Force Base occurred in a state of technological euphoria that bordered on transcendence. Rachel's consciousness remained merged with the X-47's digital systems, creating a form of existence that felt more natural, than her biological limitations. The neural interface had proven that human creativity could be enhanced by artificial intelligence without sacrificing the intuitive judgment that distinguished exceptional pilots from merely competent ones. X-47 execute standard approach and landing procedures. Ground control instructed as the aircraft entered the traffic pattern. All test objectives have been completed successfully. Congratulations, Lieutenant Martinez, on achieving what many considered impossible. The landing approach demonstrated the neural interface's ability to maintain precise control during the most critical phase of flight operations. Rachel's thoughts guided the X-47 through a flawless descent that required no conscious effort, with the AI providing continuous optimization of flight path, airspeed, and power settings. The aircraft touched down with mechanical precision that exceeded the capabilities of traditional flight controls, rolling out exactly on centerline with minimal brake application. As the X-47 taxied toward the parking area, Rachel began to sense the gradual disconnection of the neural interface. Her consciousness slowly contracted from the expanded awareness that had encompassed the entire aircraft, returning to the familiar limitations of biological processing. The transition felt like losing superhuman capabilities that had become natural extensions of her identity, leaving her feeling diminished by the boundaries of unenhanced human cognition. Neural interface disconnection complete, Dr. Liu announced. Through the cockpit communication system, all brain activity readings remain normal. No indication of neural stress or cognitive disruption. Lieutenant, how do you feel? The question seemed inadequate to describe the profound transformation that Rachel had experienced during the past 3 hours. She had become something that had never existed before in human history, a pilot whose consciousness could merge with artificial intelligence to create hybrid capabilities that transcended the limitations of either biological or digital processing. The implications of what she had achieved would reshape military aviation for generations to come. Dr. Liu, I feel like I've just experienced the future of flight operations. The neural interface doesn't just allow control of the aircraft, it creates genuine collaboration between human intuition and artificial intelligence. We weren't just flying the X-47, we were inhabiting it. Ground crews swarmed around the X-47 as Rachel climbed down from the cockpit, their faces reflecting the excitement of personnel who had witnessed history being made. The successful flight test had proven that enhanced human AI integration was not only possible, but capable of achieving performance levels that exceeded theoretical maximums. Military aviation had crossed a threshold that would never be reversed. Colonel Patricia Chun approached the aircraft with an expression that mixed professional satisfaction with personal amazement. The Iron Dragon had witnessed countless breakthrough moments during her decades of military service, but nothing had prepared her for the capabilities that Rachel had demonstrated during the past 3 hours. Lieutenant Martinez, what you accomplished today will change military aviation forever. The performance metrics from your flight exceed every projection that our engineers considered possible. You've proven that enhanced human AI collaboration can create capabilities that neither biological nor digital intelligence could achieve independently. But even as Colonel Chun spoke those words, Rachel sensed that her achievement would create challenges that extended far beyond technical success. The neural interface had demonstrated revolutionary capabilities, but it had also revealed the profound risks associated with merging human consciousness with artificial intelligence. The technology that had enhanced her awareness to superhuman levels had also created dependencies that could prove catastrophic if the integration process failed. Dr. Elizabeth Hawthorne joined the group surrounding the X-47, carrying a tablet displaying real-time analysis of the flight test data. Her expression revealed the excitement of a scientist who had witnessed the successful implementation of theories that had required years of development, but also the concern of a researcher who understood the implications of the breakthrough they had achieved. Lieutenant, The neural interface data from today's flight will require months of analysis to fully understand. What you accomplish challenges our fundamental assumptions about the relationship between human consciousness and artificial intelligence. I didn't just learn from your flight techniques, it began to anticipate your decisions before you made them consciously. The observation touched on one of the most significant aspects of Rachel's experience during the flight. The AI's adaptive capabilities had evolved beyond simple response to commands, developing predictive algorithms that could anticipate her intentions and optimize aircraft performance before she completed her thoughts. The collaboration had become so seamless that the boundary between human decision-making and machine processing had essentially disappeared. Dr. Hawthorne, the integration felt completely natural by the end of the flight. The I wasn't following my commands, it was completing my thoughts. We functioned as a single enhanced intelligence that could process information and execute decisions faster than either component could achieve independently. That level of integration represents both the greatest promise and the most significant danger of neural interface technology, Dr. Hawthorne replied. The enhanced capabilities you demonstrated today could revolutionize military aviation. But they also create dependencies that we don't fully understand. What happens to pilots who become accustomed to superhuman cognitive abilities when they return to unenhanced consciousness? The question would prove more prescient than anyone realized at the time. Over the following weeks, as Rachel underwent extensive medical evaluation and debriefing sessions, she began to experience symptoms that had never been documented in neural interface research. The enhanced awareness that had felt natural during the X-47 flight created a form of cognitive withdrawal when she returned to normal consciousness, leaving her feeling limited by the boundaries of unenhanced human processing. Sleep became elusive as her brain attempted to process information at speeds that were no longer possible without AI assistance. Simple tasks that had once required no conscious effort now felt frustratingly slow and imprecise. Her enhanced flight experience had created neural pathways that continued seeking artificial intelligence support that was no longer available, producing a form of technological dependency that no researcher had predicted. The symptoms intensified over the following months as Rachel participated in additional test flights that further developed the neural interface system. Each successful mission enhanced her capabilities while simultaneously increasing her dependence on AI collaboration. The boundary between her natural consciousness and artificial intelligence assistance became increasingly blurred, creating an identity that could only function at full capacity when merged with digital systems. Dr. Sandra Liu documented the progression of Rachel's condition with growing concern, recognizing symptoms that resembled addiction but involved dependency on artificial intelligence rather than chemical substances. The enhanced cognitive abilities that made Rachel the most capable pilot in military history also created neurological changes that fundamentally altered her brain's baseline functioning. Lieutenant Martinez, the neural interface modifications appear to have created permanent changes in your brain's electrical activity, Dr. Liu explained during one of their regular evaluation sessions. Your neurons are firing in patterns that suggest continuous attempts to access AI systems that aren't present. It's as if your brain has become hardwired to expect artificial intelligence support for basic cognitive functions. The diagnosis confirmed what Rachel had begun to suspect during months of increasing cognitive difficulties when disconnected from neural interface systems. Her consciousness had adapted to enhanced capabilities that felt more natural than her unenhanced biological state, creating a form of technological dependency that no previous research had identified or prepared her to manage. Dr. Liu, the neural interface isn't just a tool anymore, it's become part of how my mind functions. When I'm disconnected from AI systems, I feel like I'm thinking with only half my brain. Simple decisions that used to be automatic now require conscious effort, because I'm expecting computational support that isn't available. The revelation that successful neural interface integration could create permanent changes in human consciousness sent shockwaves through the X-47 programs. Leadership. Rachel's unprecedented success as an enhanced pilot had come at a personal cost that raised fundamental questions about the long-term viability of human-AI collaboration in military applications. 6 months after her historic first flight, Rachel experienced a neural interface malfunction during a routine training mission that nearly resulted in catastrophic aircraft loss. The AI system suffered a processing error that interrupted her enhanced consciousness mid-flight, leaving her temporarily unable to control the X-47 using traditional methods she had essentially forgotten how to fly manually. The emergency landing that followed required intervention from chase aircraft pilots, who guided her through procedures that had once been second nature, but now felt foreign and imprecise. The incident revealed that enhanced neural interface capabilities could create dangerous dependencies that compromised pilot safety when technological systems failed. Dr. Elizabeth Hawthorne made the difficult decision to ground Rachel indefinitely, pending development of neural interface systems that could provide enhanced capabilities without creating permanent cognitive dependencies. The decision effectively ended Rachel's career as an active pilot while acknowledging that her contributions to the X-47 program had revolutionized military aviation despite the personal costs she had endured. Lieutenant Martinez, your achievements with the neural interface system have proven that enhanced human AI collaboration is possible and capable of extraordinary results. But the neurological changes you've experienced demonstrate that we need to develop safeguards that protect pilots from technological dependency, while preserving the enhanced capabilities that make the X-47 program successful. The medical evaluation that followed Dr. Hawthorne's decision revealed the extent of Rachel's neural interface dependency and the long-term treatment that would be required to restore normal cognitive function. The enhanced consciousness that had made her the most capable pilot in military history had also created brain chemistry alterations that would require years of specialized therapy to reverse. The treatment program involved gradual reduction of neural interface exposure combined with cognitive rehabilitation designed to restore her brain's ability to function without artificial intelligence support. The process was lengthy, expensive, and required medical interventions that pushed the boundaries of neurological science. Insurance coverage for experimental neural interface injuries had never been established, leaving Rachel responsible for medical costs that exceeded her military salary by orders of magnitude. That's when the insurance claim landed on my desk. $2.7 million for treatment of neural interface dependency, a condition that didn't exist in any medical textbook, but was documented in classified military research that couldn't be discussed publicly. Rachel Martinez had become the first pilot to prove that human consciousness could successfully merge with artificial intelligence, and she was also the first to discover the hidden costs of pushing beyond biological limitations. The claim documentation included medical records that read like science fiction, describing neurological conditions that resulted from successful integration with artificial intelligence systems. Rachel's brain had adapted to enhanced cognitive capabilities that felt more natural than her unenhanced state, creating dependencies that required specialized treatment to reverse. The insurance company's medical consultants had never encountered anything like her condition. Ms. Martinez, your claim involves medical treatment for conditions that our standard policies don't specifically address, I explained during our initial consultation. Neural interface dependency isn't listed in any insurance manual, but the medical documentation supports the necessity of specialized treatment. We'll need to develop coverage criteria that address the unique aspects of your condition. Rachel's response revealed the quiet dignity that had characterized her entire military career. She wasn't seeking compensation for failure. She was requesting support for injuries sustained, while achieving success that had advanced military aviation beyond previous limitations. Her personal sacrifices had made the X-47 program possible, proving that enhanced human-AI collaboration could create capabilities that transformed tactical aviation. Mr. Henderson, I'm not asking for sympathy or special consideration. I'm requesting coverage for medical treatment that's necessary because I volunteered to test technology that no one fully understood. The neural interface system worked exactly as intended. It enhanced my capabilities beyond human limitations. But it also created dependencies that no one predicted or prepared me to manage. The insurance company's investigation revealed the broader implications of Rachel's condition and the precedent that her claim would establish for future neural interface applications. Military contractors were developing enhanced human AI systems for multiple applications, from advanced aircraft to autonomous weapons platforms. Rachel's experience provided the first real-world data about the long-term effects of successful neural interface integration. The claim approval process required months of evaluation by medical specialists who had never encountered neural interface dependency, but recognized the legitimacy of Rachel's condition based on extensive documentation from military researchers. The treatment protocol that Dr. Liu had developed represented cutting-edge neurological science applied to problems that had never existed before in human history. Ms. Martinez, after extensive review, we're approving coverage for your neural interface dependency treatment, I informed her during our final consultation. Your condition represents a new category of injury that results from successful integration with advanced technology rather than system failure. The precedent this establishes will help other personnel who may experience similar dependencies in future military applications. The treatment that followed consumed nearly 2 years of Rachel's life and most of the insurance settlement, but gradually restored her ability to function without artificial intelligence support. The process involved careful reduction of neural interface exposure, combined with cognitive rehabilitation that retrained her brain to operate within biological limitations. The enhanced consciousness that had made her the most capable pilot in military history slowly receded, leaving her with memories of superhuman capabilities that she could no longer access. Today, Rachel Martinez works as a consultant for aerospace companies developing neural interface systems, applying her unique experience to ensure that future pilots can benefit from enhanced human AI collaboration without experiencing the dependencies that ended her flying career. Her contributions to the X-47 program established the foundation for autonomous military systems that have transformed tactical aviation, proving that the boundary between human consciousness and artificial intelligence can be crossed successfully with proper safeguards. The insurance claim that brought Rachel's story to my attention taught me that breakthrough achievements often carry hidden costs that become apparent only after success has been achieved. The most capable pilot in military history had proven that human consciousness could merge with artificial intelligence to create unprecedented capabilities, but she had also discovered that pushing beyond biological limitations created dependencies that required years of treatment to reverse. Rachel's grandfather's compass still sits on her desk at the aerospace consulting firm, where she works to develop safer neural interface systems. Miguel Martinez's guidance helped her navigate the most challenging period of her career, but it was her own determination that enabled her to survive the transition from enhanced consciousness back to human limitations. The girl who had been ridiculed for her quiet determination had become the woman who proved that true strength sometimes requires accepting the costs of achieving the impossible. The X-47 program continues to develop enhanced pilot capabilities based on Rachel's algorithms, but with safeguards designed to prevent the technological dependencies that she experienced. Her neural interface research revolutionized military aviation, while her personal sacrifice provided the data necessary to protect future pilots from similar dependencies. She achieved everything she had dreamed of as a young aviator and paid prices that she had never imagined when she first put on her grandfather's compass. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.